Good morning, everybody. I'm George Coll. Thanks for coming by my studio today here in Loveland, Colorado. Today is number 5 on large painting, 18 by 30 Road to Hanksville. I think you're going to really enjoy it, stroke by stroke. Follow along with me. So, what's in it for you? You can see what I did when I learned with my first teacher. 3.5 years I was with her. I stood right to one side, either side, and I watched what she mixed, I listened to what she said, and I saw how she applied it looking at the images. That's what I'm providing to you. I used to have in-studio students here up until COVID, and I've switched over to Zoom and YouTube. You can join my Zoom class and be one of my students, get critiques, and get the download image for part of the fee that you pay for being a student. Be glad to do that. If not, you're welcome to just paint along with me and get the image from my website, georgecollgreatart.com. So, as I like to emphasize, I'm only part of your education for art. I think I'm only 1/3. There's two very important parts, and I can't stress this more and more every time I speak to people. One, it's very important to paint on a regular basis. With a paint group or somebody like me, that's part of it. The other part is get outside and paint. We're landscape painters. Get out and let nature teach you how to paint plein air. The other thing is get critiques. I'll be glad to give you critiques. If you become one of my students, you can get critiques from anybody in your community. That's fine. But very important to get someone else's educated eye on your work. So, what else? Subscribe to my station. I need subscribers. I appreciate that. If you like this stuff I do, at least subscribe and get me a little bit higher up on the ranking. All right. With that, enough said. Let's go ahead and start with today's lesson. Bye-bye. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for coming by for part 5 of Road to Hanksville. This 6-part series is 6 parts because it's a big canvas, and I wanted to introduce my students to dealing with these bigger canvases. This is a 18 by 30, and they just take more time. And of course, it's good to have all your problems worked out in the early stages, like your drawing and your shapes and your values. But I don't always have them down. So as I go along, I'm seeing, okay, this needs more red, this needs more dark, or something of that sort. And that's what I'm going to be doing today. My drawing is pretty well complete. I think the shapes are in the right place. So now I want to continue more with my values and how these colors are working with each other, how the darks are working with the lights, and that mysterious mystery is going to be continued to be worked on today and to be solved. Again, for me, larger paintings, it's kind of like a chess game. I want to win. It's always throwing me some difficulty when I step back and look at it to solve. And that's what I dealt with yesterday, and I'll be dealing with more of that today. So, when I stepped in this morning and took a look at my painting, a fresh look at my painting, I saw that I'm missing some darks and lights up in this area above these darks. When I was off camera last night, what I did, I darkened these juniper bushes down in this area that I'm pointing to right now. So that darker mixture was ultra blue and yellow ochre. All right, so with that, let's make our mixtures. Take your last sip of coffee here before we lunge into this. And let's get started with our mixture. So I want to get some more darks in this area, so I'm going to get some ultra blue, yellow ochre. Ultra blue, yellow ochre. Let me see if this is going to do the trick. And I think it will. And I'm going to do some more. Ultra blue, yellow ochre. Ultra blue, yellow ochre. I put this red in the other day. I don't know if it's, now that I get my darks in, I think it's too red. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to put some more of these darker greens in some various places up in here. I used the same mixture last night for these juniper trees right in here. And I'm making more mixture as I go. And as you can see from the reference, and you can get this reference from my website, georgecollgreatart.com. Because I think the one you see from here on camera, it's not very big. And if that's what you want to use, more power to you, that's great. But keep in mind, I went to a lot of expense and time to get these references. They're all mine. All right. And I'm working out my juniper design here, or whatever these darker objects are that we see on the reference. And I want to do just a few more of those and work that out. So now I'm going to work on that red being too red. I'm going to calm that down. And come in with I think more of a Naples, with just a little bit of red in it. I'm using rose. That's too bright. I'm going to knock it down with a little blue ultra. And let's see what that looks like in here. I'm going to add a little viridian to that. Oh, that's a beautiful color. I may have made it too dark, and if I did, I'll add some light to it. Nice color. And I'm going to kill some of the red. This color competes too much with the water. So I think this is working well. I like this. And of course I didn't make enough of it, but I'm going to use this up because it's working so well. This is where I paint my monitor. I get so close to the edge. All right, let's get back up in here. and take some of that over the edge of the cliffs. Add a little trip because I'm running out of product. And I want to get some lights back in here. And of course I lost some of my junipers, so I'll reestablish some of those. I'm going to step back and see how that looks. Still think I need some darks in here. I'll show you where in just one second. This is the ultra blue, yellow ochre. Still need some in here. And I'm going to bring it right over to some of this area here. Is that dark enough? Let me get some more blue in that. That's a really, I think, important part of this reference is this darker juniper, whatever bush it is here. And of course, I think with that we need some of that over in here. And I'll be reestablishing some of these darks coming down from the cliffs. I don't want to get too much in front of the camera, I apologize. And now I'm bringing some of my darks into this area to tell you some of the story as it goes back. There we go. Now we've got this, all these lights coming through. I want to try to kill some of those that I just have been a little sloppy on. And now with these dark junipers, I want to put a light on top of it in some of the places. So I'm going to do a yellow ochre and a cad yellow light, or cad yellow. Actually, it's a cad yellow hue I have. So let's go Naples. Let's go cad yellow. I'm going to add just a little burnt sienna to it. And I should get some orange out. Let me just see what I can do with that. Sorry I don't have that out, folks. And, oh boy, I'm getting low on it. Cad orange is expensive. You can see it's one step up from that yellow. And that's what I'm going to mix in here. Now, what I notice with myself and my students, we sometimes overemphasize these warms, and I want to be careful that I don't do that. So I'm wiping my brush a little bit, kind of putting it on with some dry. And you can see I should use a different brush. I want a kind of an older, scrubbier brush. Let's see what I can come up with. I'm so rough on brushes because I use the side of them so much. Let me try this fellow out. And I like the effect of that orange in there. And I'm going to mix some more into there. Using Naples and orange now. Too much? on my brush, so I just wiped my brush. I scrubbed it down a little bit. And I'm going to go over here and put some in also. Now I'm going to do some more of that off camera because, as you can see, the technique, and I've got a lot of it to do. But I want to go over to a different area of the painting and come back to this.
What was that color combination again, George?
Well, I started out with Naples and Cad Yellow, you know, Mary's color. And what I did, I switched over to Cad Orange instead of the Cad Yellow hue. And you can see it kind of warms up the top of these dark bushes. Now I want to keep those darks on the bottom because they are extremely important. But I want to get into this kind of squeaky, greeny color that I want to emphasize. So I'm going to use some Shiva. If you don't have Shiva, you can use Permanent Green and Cad Yellow Light. I'm going to add some Cad Yellow Light to that mixture. I should be using a smaller brush probably, but I'm going to be bringing some of this in. I'm going to add just a little bit of olive to that. So I've used Shiva, a little bit of olive, some Cad Yellow Light, and I want to try to put that in. It's this some sort of vegetation that's close to the water that you can see throughout this area. And I need some of that on this bank. And I don't see it in the reference, but I want to put some in here. And that's what I'm doing right there. I'll put some over here too. What that does, it kind of accents the river also. And I'm going to bring some in to this area right in here. I'm going to stand back and take a look at that. And we're approximately about 16 minutes into this session, so we've still got a lot of time to go. I really like the muted color I put in here. And I think that's helped balance out this lower area. Again, I'm going to go back to my Shiva, Cad Yellow Light, a little bit of olive. And this is kind of the wow color, kind of the exotic color that we put in here. We're going to work on one more of these exotic colors here in just a second. And I'm going to go straight yellow in here just to give it some zing in here. Just so it shows up in that background just a little bit. By golly, I'm really liking the effect here. All right, I've still got some more of this, so I'm going to see if I can use some of that in some of this area up in here, and just use some of that on top of the junipers just to see, experiment how that's working. think I need a good swath of it right here. So what I'm working with some of my students with is just not one solid color, that there's a variety of colors in here that tell the story of what's going on. If you look at your reference, you can see, really blow it up, there's a variety of stuff going on in here that makes up these colors. I'm going to soften some of these greens. Okay, I want to work on another green. As I said, one more kind of eye catcher of a green. This Shiva is pretty easy to remember, but now I want to work something with some permanent green. Permanent green is something that got to be careful with. It's a strong color. So I've got permanent green, and I've got some light Naples. So make some Naples in white, or get a product called Flesh from Richardson. And let's see what we can do here. I'm going to add just a little bit of Shiva to it. And it might be too dark, but I want to give it a try. Let me add a little bit of Naples light to it and give it a try. And this will be a great lightener too. Oh, I love this color. Oh my God, it really goes well in here. So as you mix it, make a lot of it, you're going to love it. Oh, it has much more of a lighter effect as you go back than that yellow does. And this I'll probably overuse. And I'm hopefully got a sharp enough brush, turning it sideways to get it in some of these narrow areas back in here. All right, so let's see if we can incorporate some of this up here in our foreground. And so I'm using some of these kind of as connectors on some of these juniper, dark juniper things I have here. Wow, that sure gave the desert some life. And I'm going to see what I can do about bringing these greens in. I think I overdid it there, so I'll knock it down. All right, with that done, let's see what we can do about lightening up some of those junipers. So I'm going to add some permanent green to that mixture, add some more Naples light to it, and I'm going to add some of that mixture to this dark I had for these bushes. So it's dulling it down. It's kind of a gray-green. It's just beautiful. And I'm going to bring that in now on some of the junipers. Oh man, I need some over here. come on. All right. I'm going to do some more of that and try to soften up this area a little bit from all those hard darks. And so I'm using it on the top of some of these junipers. Well, that's a nice way to break up these darks, is run some of these gray greens through them. And you can see it has a lovely effect too, helping out these big dark areas. So with this, let's put some up in here. And I'm running low on product, of course. I'm going to add a little chirp to it, see if I can get some mileage out of it. When you do that, it goes on very strong, just like that. Got to be careful. I have this big kind of red area I'm going to run some through. And that's kind of a blunt end there. I'm going to sharpen it. Just picked up some dirty yellow ochre. I'm putting some of it in these darker areas. All right. Now, the next thing I want to try to work out is my water here. So, let me look at time. Yeah, we've got time. So I want to go back to some of these beautiful colors we have. And I have a royal blue and this light viridian. And I think some of this light viridian goes well up in these areas here. And I'm accenting some color with that. Now, I think a tendency I notice with myself and my students sometimes is you want to connect all the water. And as you can see, I broke it with some darks here. And here, I've broken it with some green. It's just that let the eye tell the story. All you need is some lights in various places to tell the story. I think I have a problem area here I need to nail down. So, okay. Let me see about getting just a touch of light viridian here. I don't know if that did the trick, but I use this color in the sky a lot. And I think I made this a little too sloppy, so I'm going to squeeze it down. That's my squeeze. I think I need a little bit darker, a little darker. Okay. So let's bring this around here a little bit. And let's break this curve with some, some sort of a vegetation here. So I'm going to use a yellow ochre, ultra blue. And I'll get some yellow on top of it, yellow ochre, Naples. A little bit of yellow on it. And I'll re-emphasize the dark on the bottom. Better work that out here. And I'll use a little bit of that Viridian through here, break it up. And let's get some royal blue here in this mixture. So I'm adding some royal blue to the mixture, a little bit of turp, and try this on for size. Might be too bright. If you look at the reference, it's kind of muddy when you look at it, but I kind of like this zing here. We'll see. Let me stand back. Oh my gosh, look at that. Okay. Like it. I'm going to add a little bit of Viridian up in here, light Viridian, as we go down through here. Okay. And let me reestablish this bush that isn't doing a very good job here. I'll add some more as we go along. Wow, what a color. This makes a nice color combination here. Alrighty. All right, we're coming into 30-some minutes now, and I want to go back and add some of this really subtle blue we just made down here. I'm going to add it up here as, as things go back, the horizon gets really light in color. Well, I really like our mixtures we've been making, these beautiful greens. I'm going back to that exotic green we made with permanent and light yellow. And I'm going to add some flesh to that. And I need a little bit more permanent in there. And just love the strength of it. And I'm going to put a little bit more right in here. All right, I think with that, I'm going to, off camera, soften the area between, see how bold that light and dark is? I'm going to soften that by doing this, keeping my dark on the bottom. And I'll be doing that with some of the junipers off camera. And bring this session to a close for the YouTubers. I appreciate it so much that you came by today. And tomorrow will be our concluding session for this. I think we'll all be glad that it's gone. But I have enjoyed it. It's been a really great session in here. Just putting some cad yellow light in here. I mean, it's just light and yellow and Naples light. And you can see it really has a nice light effect, which, kind of mud banks and things like that can have. And I'll be softening some of those bold strokes that I've just put in here off camera. Okay, folks, thanks for coming by today. And tomorrow is number 6, and we'll be finishing up with some smaller brushes and some detail. And thanks so much for coming by today. Bye-bye.